Hi, guys. Before we get to today's episode, I'd like to encourage you, if you are an entrepreneur or startup founder who would like to network with like-minded entrepreneurs and startups to be able to share best practices, tips, and all kinds of information along the way, I'd love to see you join our community. You can head on over to southernstartups.com/Slack to join. We look forward to seeing you there. Thanks so much. Hi, guys. Hope you're doing great today. Jonathan Mills Patrick with you. Today, I want to take you through what I feel like is a little bit of a special treat. I've gone on and on about the value of Quora.com and talked about how people will go on there and ask me questions that I can provide my expertise and knowledge on. I've done that myself. And today, I want to share with you two sessions that I found where venture capitalists went on and did a Q&A session where people could submit their questions, the things that they are just dying to know about venture capital and startups, and ask these very successful investors their opinion on things. So today I want to take you through two of those. I'm going to share my screen with you for those of you that are watching this live, and let's take a look at what we got going on. The first investor that I want to share with you is Jess Lee. She is an investor at Sequoia Capital. If you don't know Sequoia Capital and you're in the startup space at all, you need to look them up. They're one of the top-rated investor platforms. They are investors in all kinds of well-known startups. Jess is an investor there. She's also, and as is typical of a lot of investors at these funds, is also an entrepreneur herself and has had her own startups that she's been a co-founder of. So I want to jump right into the first question that she got asked, and it was, what are the three main criteria you look at when investing in a startup? And Jess said that her main three were grit, a growth mindset, and a giant or growing market and big dreams. She kind of lumped those in together there at the end, though. I want to talk about grit first. I totally get where she's coming from there. As being a startup founder myself, I can tell you that it is not for the faint of heart to launch a startup or business in general from scratch. It is extremely difficult. It is one of the hardest things you'll ever do in your life. And if you don't have the type of grit that's necessary to get knocked down over and over and over and then get back up, then you really don't need to be an entrepreneur or in the startup world at all. I also like her mention of a growth mindset. That has a lot to do with the ability to overcoming challenges and things like that. She says that her partner often says, we prefer slope over y-intercept, which she says she loves. They just want people who are looking to grow. And the next comment really strikes home with me, looking for people who have the capacity to learn quickly, because in a startup world, you have to pivot, change, evolve, do all those things regularly, sometimes daily. And it's just really important to have that growth mindset. And then, of course, a giant market matters, right? If you have a startup idea that you're trying to grow, you want to get out there to the masses. If you don't have the masses to approach in the first place, if you're solving a pain point of one, which is what a lot of startup founders do, they're just solving a pain point that maybe they have or themselves and a few other people have, and they haven't done their research to understand that there's a giant marketplace for this. That's really, really critical. Another one that was intriguing to me that she got asked about was post the crypto rush, what are the next trends in investment to watch for? And her first one really struck home with me. She says a backlash against social media and a rise of new communities. I totally agree with her. I'm seeing it a lot lately where people are stepping away from social media. I don't know that they're leaving it entirely, although some of the folks that I watch, like is it Casey Neistat, I believe is his name, a real well-known YouTuber, has talked about stepping away a little bit from social media. I've done that myself at various times in my life where I've just kind of taken a break or I've stepped away from it and I only visit social media on a regular basis. I think just the fame game that Jess talks about here is just a bit too much for people, and it keeps them depressed and feeling lonely. And I think it definitely keeps people out of touch. That was the whole reason I created my very first startup, was to go against the juggernaut that was social media and was so popular at the time. Go Grab Lunch was to put people face to face and have them network. So another one that she's talking about that I've actually interviewed a couple of startups on my podcast is the housing crisis. She talks about innovation in the real estate industry. I completely agree with her there. Spot on again. She definitely knows her stuff. Two of the startups that I've interviewed for the podcast, one was around just changing up how people sell their homes, and another was just marketing of those homes. That was Proxbox with Brian Behringer and Jessica Huffington of Hello Home. Flip those. Hello Home is about how to sell your home, and Proxbox was marketing those. So I definitely agree with her there. The housing market. Gaming as the new social just might be. I'm a huge gamer myself, so it's cool to see Jess mention Fortnite and other games. I've been a gamer my entire life, and I agree. It's one of the ways that I'm social, connecting with people every single night, playing games like Fortnite and Apex and others like that. So other ones that she's shared here is what made you want to become an investor, just the team and culture aspect of it, the ability to learn and to impact others. Last one with Jess I want to touch on that was brought to her was, what's the most common startup failure problem? Now, in my opinion, it's usually a lack of market and being undercapitalized. Let's see what Jess said. She says that the path to greatness is paved with failure. There are many common mistakes, but some are easier to overcome. For example, hiring execs that don't work out or over promoting your earliest employees. The mistakes that can kill a company are founder drama, platform shifts that destroy your business, and running out of time, patience, and money. The founder drama is interesting to me as well, just because I've experienced it as an investor. I've experienced watching founders pitch investors. Matter of fact, not too long ago on the podcast, we talked about the idea of the one way to lose an investor is to not show them respect. Founder drama is sort of a bend on that, and it happens quite a bit with the founders, especially if they have any level of success. They kind of get bent around their own success and things like that. So, there's challenges that come with working with startup founders and entrepreneurs. By nature, they're very confident people, as they should be, but you have to keep that in check. So really cool feedback to hear from someone like Jess, who's had some success at both levels, both as a startup entrepreneur and as an investor. Next, I want to share with you a session that Keith, I believe it's Rabois, did. He's an investor and a general partner at the Founders Fund, and he had some slightly different questions thrown at him, so I wanted to share those so that you can learn from them. That really is the whole point of this session, is for you to take feedback from these kind of people and to incorporate that into how you go about your startup business and looking for investors in general. So what is your advice for Keith? He said, for startup CEOs, the team you build is the company you build. Absolutely. Clearly, Keith knows his stuff just like Jess did as well. So I hate to keep agreeing with these guys. Maybe we'll find something I don't agree with them on, but team is everything. When you're talking to investors, I commonly say that what I've heard is 80% of an investor's decision is based on the team itself. Doesn't matter how good your idea is. If your team can't execute, doesn't mean anything. And that's right. So Keith says the team you build is the company you build. Address the most difficult risks first. Love this one. Great advice. Going after, if you read Brian Tracy's book, Eat the Frog, going after that frog, the hardest thing that you do on a given day, knock it out first on a given month. With a startup, whatever you feel is going to be the hardest thing to do, get it done first and get it out of the way. Get it behind you so that you can focus on something else. Keith also said advice for startups: construct a board of directors early. Sometimes I call those board of advisors. So your board of directors are typically the people who have invested in your business. They've put in capital into your business, and or they're your co-founders. You can have people who aren't one of those two categories on a board of directors, but early in a startup's life, there's not as much need to have a true legal board of advisors that you would have with an existing business. So while you're trying to grow, what I advise is just form a board of advisors instead of board of directors, so that there's no legal agreement between you where they're on there and you may need their vote for different actions. Form a board of advisors early on. Before you need a board of directors. Those people can become your board of directors. Board of advisors and board of directors can be made up of people from all kinds of places. But with board of advisors, there you're not necessarily taking on shareholders in your company or people who have a stake in the growth of your company. There you can just bring in people who can help you with a variety of challenges. They may provide legal expertise, accounting expertise, funding, marketing, all these different areas where you may not have the skill set or need an outside opinion. People whose opinion you trust and who have been successful, put them on an informal board of advisors, meet with them maybe every couple of months, and ping ideas off of them. All right, so here's a really good one from Keith. What do you look for in an investment? He wants to know, what secret is the company predicated on? Meaning, what is the idea or the thing that you have, your secret sauce behind the business? Then he can go off and test that. What could this be? What could this be one of the most important companies on the planet? So listen to that. It's not just that you're solving a pain point for yourself. It's solving something that really matters for the entire planet. I'm going to tie that back to what Jess said in terms of something that has an enormous market size. He wants to know, can the founder attract talent to achieve their vision? So there are founders who are really good at building teams. And then there are founders who will add people to the team, and they're just not able to retain those people. They lose them because maybe they lack focus or all kinds of reasons. So a founder who can attract talent, specifically in the startup industry, where they can retain that talent, keep them interested in what they're doing, show some vision that they're going to grow the company, and it gets people to buy in. And then Keith also wants to know, what are the comparative advantages? So interestingly, one of the ones I did want to share with you, because investors do make mistakes, a question was asked of Keith: what has been your biggest mistake and the lesson learned from it? There might be something you can learn out of this one yourself. He said, in consultation with my partners, I decided that I couldn't agree to join the board of a startup we were funding with $2 million. That was Robinhood. If you don't know what Robinhood is, it is a sort of online-only wealth advisor firm, sort of robo-advisor, you might think. He said, fortunately, the next time a similar situation presented itself, he agreed to the board. That company will be worth $10 billion. Investors make all kinds of mistakes. Keith didn't tell us why he didn't join the board of Robinhood, but if I can take a little bit of liberty here, I would imagine to say that either it was a time issue for him and he just didn't see the value in joining that board, or maybe he was one of the partners that didn't necessarily agree with that investment, but they made it anyways. I'd like to believe it's the first. Maybe he just didn't see the need or the time commitment that was going to be needed for his investment on that board, and maybe thought not to do it. Last one to share with you from Keith is he got really short with an answer. He got asked the same question that Jess Lee did about the post-crypto rush. What are the next trends in investment to watch for? And here we go. Something to really think about. I don't invest in trends. I invest in specific teams with specific approaches only. Two parts to that I want to address. The team part comes out again. I'll just hammer it home even more in a different way. Investors like to bet on the jockey, not the horse, right? So they're betting on the team or the individual, not the vehicle with which they're going to have success. I've seen plenty of startup founders who are extremely skilled, start a business, start something in an industry, grow it, and realize it's not going to receive the kind of traction that they need, but they pivot and do something totally different and are successful. So making that bet on the founder themselves. Keith's comment about trends. So I monitor trends partially for a living and act on those. And so one of the things that strikes me about that is just the idea that when we talk about trends, we could be getting stuck in semantics. But if your startup is built around something that is a fad, something that is going to come and go quickly, then I think you need to rethink what you're working on. If it's a trend and a long sustaining trend, then I think that's okay. But again, a fad, something that's here and gone within a year or two, is not something that you want to build a startup business around. I hope all that information helps you. Soon, I'm looking to have some live investor Q&A sessions, so make sure you join the community. Look forward to talking to you again. Take care. Have a great day.